Speakeasy, folks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. This is time for another edition of Terrifying Tuesdays, which is a new thing that I'm doing, where I will watch and review a movie from the collection of horror movies my father left me. A lot of them are older. There's quite a few that might be a lot of Hammer movies, and other ones would be like this. Just a big collection of stuff, and I watch them and tell you what I think. Now, today, I will be reviewing a movie right here, Piranha, which I think came out in '79. I think I said in there. I'm not quite sure. I watched it because I seem to remember there being a series of horror movies called Piranha, which would be in this subset of horror, like Jaws, but this is with piranhas. This is a movie where you have a brother and sister going down to somewhere in South America. I think they must have done what. Been away. Whatever. I'm tired. She is a photographer. She is on a grant to take some pictures of the Amazon, the rainforest, the jungle. She's a photojournalist. She's going to just document, parts of there to show, whatever. She's going down there. She's the photojournalist. Her brother is accompanying her because she can't make it without him. So she is a kind of a hippie environmentalist photojournalist type, and the brother is a kind of a drunk womanizer who is kind of absolutely useless for anything. And they arrive, they get picked up by an American who is going to be their guide down to the jungles and all that. And so that is the plot of the movie. They're going to the jungle to take pictures and all this stuff. You find out that she absolutely hates guns, because at one point the guy pulls out a gun to put in with her stuff, and she goes nuts. What are you doing carrying that gun? It's like, yeah, we're gonna need that because we're in the jungle for protection against some of the wild animals. And she goes crazy. Okay, so I'm thinking at some point they are going to get to the jungle and have to deal with the titular piranhas. They're The movie is named Piranha. They're in an area of the world where there are piranhas. Name's Piranha. Uh, but when you this movie, it takes most of the movie for them to get to their final destination. And at some point during this exceedingly long journey get to the destination of the jungle, they come across another American who is obviously the bad guy. You get introduced to him early, and who's a hunter, and you just get like bad vibes from the guy right off, and they start going with him instead after, for some reason, they're traveling on motorcycle. For some reason, their guide challenges this hunter to a motorcycle race in one of the villages they're in on the way down there. After a really long thing of them at a diamond mine, because it turns out the brother wants to see the diamond mines, and she's like, okay, we'll go there, and I can take the pictures there. But he wants to challenge him to a motorcycle race for some reason that had really nothing to do with the plot. So that's a very long, think The Phantom Menace, about the pod racing, how long that was. Take that, make it longer, less interesting, and have even less to do with the plot than the pod race. And so they're going along, and so there's that. This guy, you can tell they do not trust this guy. She is a virulent animal rights person that hates guns, and yet she decides to go with this guy even though he's carrying around this really big hunting rifle. And they don't really, the two men, the guide and her her brother, really don't trust the guy, but she seems to be attracted to him. So they all just go along with this guy for some reason, even though the guide knows his way around there just as well. And there's only one point in this really long journey that they mention piranhas. There is a slight scene where she's off taking pictures, and he's off hunting, and the guide and the brother are out in the jeep, and the hunter sees her, walking the water barefoot, and he runs up and grabs her and starts pulling her out of the water, and she's screaming. And why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And he's like, yeah, she was walking barefoot in the water, and she was bleeding. And they're like, you're an idiot. There's piranhas, which they had not mentioned to her before, so she didn't know not to do that type of stuff because nobody mentioned her. Yeah, there's piranhas and electric eels and all this stuff in there, so you can't really blame her for going batshit crazy when some thug pulls her out of the water like that. But that's the only time they mention piranhas. Until a little later, you have a brief scene where somebody gets chewed up by them for a couple seconds. And then you find out later that the nickname that the locals call the bad guy is Piranha. But that's the only connection to this movie that piranhas have to this movie. There's a slight mention of it. There is a couple of scenes where something gets chewed up by the piranhas, and that's it. All the rest of it is the journey, and then the bad guy goes and does something bad. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And then there's a confrontation with him at the end. That's it. Because you're supposed to be escaping from him. I'll give you the synopsis. I should have done that before. And it says, a wildlife photographer and her brother travel to the dense and mysterious Amazon jungle to find themselves fleeing from a human predator and bloodthirsty piranha. Piranhas have virtually nothing to do with this movie other than the name, the nickname of the bad guy, and one small scene for about 5-10 seconds where you see somebody get munched by them. That's it. I'm not going to tell who. And I got to tell you, this movie is a product of its time. The acting is ish. No, it's not even really ish. It's below ish. If you kind of understand what I'm getting at. It's not good. There is a song they keep playing in this movie. Go to the credits. I think it's original to this movie, which is reminiscent of the stereotypical 70s porn music. Not that I watch 70s porn, but you know what the stereotypical 70s porn music is supposed to sound like. And it's bad. It's kind of slow and prodding, and just you're sort of wondering what the bad guys are doing. I mean, what the writers were doing, who could also be the bad guys for writing this thing to begin with. What they were trying to do, why they were saying, oh, let's call it Piranhas and not have piranhas in it, and let's just, it's kind of slow and prodding and uninteresting, and it was bad. It's just bad. Obviously not as bad as Craven the Hunter, which I just saw recently, which I'm thinking about doing a review on, but let's not get into that right now. But it's, if this is the movie that they wound up having 2 sequels about, because there's Piranha 2 and then Piranha 3 Double D, which I'm thinking about watching. I'm thinking about trying to watch that one just because the name, there had to have been another reason to do sequels, because I do not see how, this being can be considered a cult classic because it says 10 movie original cult classics, and there are some good movies in here. There's Night of the Living Dead, the original Little Shop of Horrors, House on Haunted Hill, The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, which I've seen all these. I don't see how this one can be put in there with these. It's bad. It's like what Mr. Mackey from South Park says about drugs. They're bad and gay. I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5. Just because and it has nothing to do with the movie, really, just because it's something my father gave me, and it's one of those things that it's just so bad that you're watching it just so you can hate it. It's one of those movies, you know what I mean? So combine the two, and you can get it like a 1 out of 5, and that's not a good day. If you're gonna do this, you need to. If you drink, I suggest you do so while you're doing it, if you want to watch it. And also just so you can sit there and add it to the collection of movies you're watching going, what the fuck was that movie all about? Because you need movies like that in your life. And this is one of them. But anyway, let me know what you thought of it, if you watched it. And like, subscribe, most of all. Try and enjoy your old horror movies.